Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings, and we generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video, we're going to be talking about an ancient game that was created before human beings walked the earth. We're going to be talking about Airlines Europe, and in this game you will be investing your dosh in airplane companies. You'll be acquiring stocks and shares in said companies that will give you victory points that will allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules. We're telling you what we do like, what we don't like, then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Airlines Europe is still worth playing. This one says 2011, but I think there was a couple of iterations of this, like Union Pacific and all that sort of thing before this. I'm talking crap. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. Hit the like button, all that bollocks. We'll see you after this. Bollocks. So, Airlines Europe. How'd you play this game? So I'm assuming that you have all played Ticket to Ride. If you haven't played Ticket to Ride, then you have been living under a bleeding rock for about 20 years. Basically, this takes the premise of Ticket to Ride, bolts on a couple of extras, and makes it a little bit more strategic and maybe a little bit more complex as well, right? So first thing you're going to do in Airlines Europe, you will set the board up. You'll see that there are a number of different airline companies of different colours, right? One of the things you've got to be mindful of, everyone says this when they first play this game: I want to be red, I want to be blue, blah, 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 blah. You ain't going to do that, right? You ain't going to be controlling these airlines. You'll be investing in them. You'll put the hub of each airline out on the board in the respective city, and you'll see each airline has a different number of planes. The airlines with the least amount of planes will have these special routes that will bump their value up by a certain amount of dosh. Next thing you'll do is you'll make a display of all the shared certificates. You'll draw 5 from the deck. You'll put them out on a display like Ticket to Ride, yeah? And then you'll deal a number of shared certificates to each player. You'll choose 2 of them to put in front of you. These will be your starting shares and give you sort of like an idea of which of the airlines you might want to support in your foray into the aviation rip-off business. So before you start, you're going to get 8 million euros. That is approximately £2.50 and a Mars bar based on the current exchange rate. And then you're ready to go. There are 4 different actions that you can take in this game. The first action is that you could buy 1 or 2 route licenses on the board. What you do, you'll choose an airline, you'll pick up one of their planes, and you'll put it on a route either emanates from their central hub or another plane that is already on the board, right? You'll see that each airline can only have 1 plane on each route, and you'll pay the cost associated with the lowest space on that route line. Once you've placed the little plastic aircraft on a board, then you'll move that airline share value up the track for the same price that you paid for it. So if you paid 3 million euros for it, you'll move it up 3 spots. Once you've done this as part of the same action, you'll be able to choose one of the share cards from the display, or you'll be able to take it blind from the draw deck and you'll put it into your hand, right? Your portfolio cards that you play in the next action are separate from your hand. You've got to remember that. A lot of people fall foul of this and end up getting a slap. So the next action you could do is you could play share cards from your hand and then take a dividend. What you'll do, you'll choose to play any number of the same coloured card, or you could play 2 different coloured cards, right? For every card that you play in front of you, then you will get 2 million euros. Don't think you get a Mars bar for doing this, but you never know. The next thing you could do is you could take a share in the Abacus airline. This is an airline that doesn't actually have any aircraft. It's a bit like that shipping company that was meant to cross from Dover to Ostend or something, which didn't have any ships, right? Brexit. And the final thing you could do is you can take 8 million, I want to say dollars, euros in cash for no reason at all. Just walk past some geezer sitting under a bridge, just handing out wads and wads of dosh. So as part of setup, you would have shuffled in 3 different scoring cards, like you do with all these types of Euro games, right? When these come out, you'll do some scoring. So what we usually do, we start with the lowest value airline, and you'll see who has the most shares in that airline, and they will get the highest amount of money printed on that space, right? You'll keep going through all the airlines until you are done. If there's a tie, you add up the 2 tied numbers and you round up. You'll also score the Air Abacus shares. These are permanent. These do not fluctuate. They are eternal. You'll do this 3 times. In the 3rd round, you'll still score the Air Abacus shares, but they are worth a whopping 16 points, right? And once you've done that, the player with the most victory point chips will be the winner of Airlines Europe. So what do we like about Airlines Europe? So the first thing we like about this is it takes the simple premise of Ticket to Ride and it bolts on a little bit more depth without adding too much complexity, right? We played Ticket to Ride to death, and once you've outgrown that game, you're looking for something that's the same, but it's got a little bit more to it. And this is that game. It's from the same designer, of course, right? But you feel right at home with this one because it is so similar to Ticket to Ride. It does add that little tiny layer of strategic depth with the share cards, right? So the second thing that we really like about this is that the single card draw stops people from hoovering up all those cards, a bit like Robbie Fowler hoovering up all that coke on a touchline. Every time we have played this game, there's always some nugget that wants to take more than one card and thinks they're entitled to take more than one card. So they end up getting a rolling pin round the head. So the fact that in order to take a card, you have to first spend money and you can only take one card for it means that it might be in your interest to allow other people to waste their money on taking routes first, and then you can slide in from behind and leech off their hard work. So the next thing that we like about this game is that scoring is really quite interesting because you never really know. It's a bit like those horse racing machines that you used to have down the arcade. Put your 10p in, I'm showing my age. You think that the red horse is going to win, and then it slows down right at the end and the shitty blue horse comes through and shits all over your party tablecloth. So just because red has got the most planes doesn't mean to say it's got the biggest dick. There's also that unknown quantity with those special routes for, say, white. I've seen white come in first on numerous occasions. So whilst it's not completely random, it's not like Camel Up where you'll be taking a die out of a cardboard pyramid, you'll be relying on the judgment of other players to boost your chances of winning. So what don't we like but Airlines Europe? So the first thing that we don't like about it is it's bloody fiddly, right? You drop one of them planes when you're putting it out and that is it. It's curtains for your airline because you ain't going to remember which plane went on what spot and which route it was on. So you've got to be very careful when handling them planes, right? It's a bit like when you thought you had a pube and then you pissed out of it. So the second thing we don't like about this is a remnant from one of our frustrations from Tickets to Ride that wasn't fixed in this game, and it is the random card draw yet again. Sometimes that share certificate that you really wanted to take control of that airline just doesn't come out the deck, and it's not because anyone else has got it, it's because a lot of them are shuffled into the bottom end of the deck, and by the time they come out, that yellow airline is worth fuck all. So yeah, once again with this game, we are at the mercy of the random card draw, but where this game isn't particularly deep or complex, maybe we can live with that, maybe. So the final thing we don't like about this game is that the victory point chips and the paper money, shit. There must have been a billion and other ways to deal with the scoring. The reason they give you chips is because it has to be kept hidden so you don't really know who's in the lead. But the fact is, you're going to have to trade in these chips for higher amounts. But there's not enough lower value chips in the game, right? So it doesn't make sense. You're given victory point chips to keep it hidden. But when you trade them in, you can be like, I've got 10 here, so can I have change of 10? So everybody knows how much you've fucking got. It would have been better just to write down your score on a piece of paper. Job done. So to summarise, is Airlines Europe still worth your time and bother? It says 10 years after its first release. I reckon it's more like 50. So we're going to say yes, we really do enjoy this game. It's a solid step up from Ticket to Ride, and if you are bored to death of all those different iterations of Ticket to Ride that try to flog you over the years, maybe it's time to take to the skies and have a look at this beast. It could do with a refresh, right? My idea to you, Abacus Spill, I think that's who made it. Yeah, but you're probably out of business anyway, is to put magnets on the aircraft and have magnets in the board. That way, if you drop a plane, they ain't going to go all over the bleeding show, are they? Right? Not hard, is it? It's an excellent route building game with a very basic stock market feature bolted on, and it keeps you guessing till the end because the airlines with the most planes aren't necessarily the ones with the chicken nuggets. So this is not only a very engaging game because of that stock market feature, but it also is still a very fun one as well, right? So there you go. That is Airlines Europe. Remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. Hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. See you next time.